Hey there everybody, how's it going? NICO, Scarlet Moon here, and in this video, I want to talk about how you can get the most out of your horoscopes on this channel. And the same applies, of course, to Patreon when we are talking about the bi-weeklies. And if you're interested in signing up for my Patreon, it's only $1 minimum pledge per month to have access to that and my live videos. So if you want to do that for a couple of months, it might be, worth giving a shot. And again, you can always find links in the down bar below for that. But this video itself is going to cover a lot of different topics. Now, I did want to address what's going on, with me and my own spiritual process, my own spiritual practice, where things are going, how things have evolved, and, why the horoscopes are presenting the way they are now versus before. And I also wanted to share some personal thoughts, feelings, and maybe even just a bit of observations and guidance in regards to horoscopes that are intended to merely pull in mass attention for themselves. So we're going to talk about that because I do feel that this field itself is at the very beginnings of a transition away from something that has not always been in the highest interest of all concerned, and going through an evolution process so that it can serve in the highest interest of all concerned. That being said, let's talk about why the shift, why the changes, why are we going into this where I am, again, reading off camera, scribing into a journal, and then reading my findings off to you. But that's not something I think anyone getting a personal reading should expect. The general YouTube horoscopes and the general Patreon horoscopes are their own thing. The reason I am actually just committing to this is because the way I have been shifting in terms of my spiritual practice, right? If you are consistent and dedicated to your practice with the intention of growth and conscious evolution, you are going to change, right? It's not about just finding a place to sort of stay. You're not trying to find a platform to just stick on until the universe pulls it out from under you every now and then. You are going to find that your ways of receiving information, your ways of getting any kind of divine inspiration, any kind of divination, intuitive hits, or revelation are going to shift. And in my case, they shifted in a way where information is coming much more quickly than it was before. And that started actually back in mid-2019. That was not something that, just occurred this last month, but as I've attempted to meet in the middle with what was maybe the cultural expectation for whatever reason, whether it's the cultural expectation of what's going on YouTube, the cultural expectation of horoscopes since they became more popular in the 20-teens, maybe the expectations or assumptions that were propagated by more prominent users and readers and astrologers out there, I found that it was increasingly more strenuous on my energy, and what was happening was that I could not break my flow to simply go from card to card to card to card. And I was also getting a lot of hits from my higher self, my own spirit guides, my own angels, like, look, you've really got to step back. At some point, you have to actually work within your progress and start serving in a way where it is encouraging people to grow and evolve as well. And the problem with certain types of horoscopes is that they don't do that. Sometimes they give the artificial empowerment of being informed and still actually teach nothing about the spiritual process. And in the 20-teens, it became very popular for anyone with a webcam and a deck of tarot cards to use a lot of evocative language, to not really give so much a reading, but sell affirmation to people, right? When we talk about selling affirmation, now I'm talking about the, he wants you back, or, all of that kind of stuff. Where's your soulmate? And that kind of baiting, manipulative language ultimately should not have the power to dictate what is actually going to be something that is serving, again, in the spiritual interest of all concerned. Now, does that mean that using divination for practical purposes is not a good thing? No, I don't think that's a problem at all. If somebody wants to read about a certain subject, then a person's going to read about a certain subject. For me, what I've found is that reading this way, where I am going through and basically talking about the most predominant energies and the most predominant themes that are affecting all areas of a person's life, does actually, even though it might not look like it, as a first impression, does actually serve what most people are actually looking for when they're looking for a horoscope. I mean, even when I was doing general horoscopes that were compartmentalized into, money, messages, challenges, love, a lot of people were still only coming for the answer to one question. What's going on with my love life? Screw the rest. What's going on with my financial life? Screw the rest, right? So it doesn't make any sense to compartmentalize at that point in time. Why not just talk about the most predominant energies that can be applied to all areas of your life, right? It's kind of like a look at what the weather and traffic are going to be. Plus, it also holds people accountable for what they do with their free will. So this is my way of kind of taking that power back and distributing it in a way that is different. It does require people to be more mindful and involved in what's going on in all areas of their life. It is going to require people to actually introspect and contemplate maybe things that certain horoscopes might not even ask people to contemplate, right? Because when we think about horoscopes where somebody is just basically getting on and pretending to do a personal reading for thousands of people, whether they're doing it live or they've, got 2 hours to sit on YouTube, it's not necessarily serving any other purpose than to make somebody maybe feel good or take a break from a life that maybe would be better served to learn how to work with on the non-physical, to work with when it comes to the process of manifestation and reality creation. And that is what I am all about, right? If you've ever watched a non-horoscope video of mine, and that includes incoming waves, because incoming waves are not general horoscopes, I say that all the time, you will obviously see that I am more interested in how any given reality experience is actually created, sustained, maintained, or destroyed. And I think that when we look at horoscopes, they should be helping us to understand how those processes work. If it's not expansive, if it is not something that is pushing and supporting people at a rate of spiritual and conscious evolution in a way that is actually substantial, I don't think that it's actually a very empowering tool at all. Now, I'm not saying this to judge people who make the choice to do those kinds of things. I don't know why certain people make those kinds of choices. I can't walk into their life and assume. But I can say that when it comes to creating fatalist readings, or maybe boiling things down to their simplest form, or trying to create an evocative language that is ultimately there to just wrangle up as many people as possible who are having an emotional week, that is actually an act of manipulation, right? It's an act of manipulation to get one's needs met. No judgment, just making an observation. And you can't observe things without judging them. I just did. So how is it possible to get more out of these little horoscopes that I'm doing now? When we look at the sun, moon, and the rising signs, or just the sun and the moon, if you don't have the rising sign, you can actually get a more complete or more full, I guess you could say, understanding, even if it's just a general reading of what is actually going to be the most pervasive collection of themes going on. And this is how I would recommend looking at it if you choose to go about looking at it this way. Your sun, ultimately, yes, that is the primary, the main plot, right? That is the main plot of the week. That is the main story going on behind the scenes of all things. Yes, your job. Yes, your love life. Yes, your family life. Yes, your spiritual practice. All of it. The moon is the B plot, the subplot. This is what's going on as well. Okay, so it's not as prominent. However, it may be something you want to keep an eye on because it will be something that will continue to be there or grow as we move into the end of the week and even into the next. The ascendant or the rising sign, that's going to tell you how a lot of things are coming to be, how things are substantiating, the vehicles and means they will take to show up in your life. And so when you look at it that way, you're going to see a much more rich and much more in-depth horoscope. No, it does not take 40 minutes to do a general horoscope. It honestly can take 10. And that's what I wanted to make sure people understood. You know, there is a way to get this more in depth. It is going to require you, though, to be more involved in the processes of your own life. Look at the strategies, look at the lay of the land that's coming through, and you will find that this is actually something that is giving you a lot more to play with, right? Because you are the one co-creating your reality experience. All you need to do is see what constituents of that reality are in play or getting affected with these horoscopes, with these energies, so you can make your moves and participate mindfully. And that is real empowerment. And so that's where I'm choosing to go with this. Don't let yourself be made a child by maybe the cultural expectations of horoscopes of both the far back past and recent history that would have you more interested in the emotional evocations and the emotional triggers that would make you feel X, Y, and Z, regardless of whether or not that reader had ever any intention of helping you to evolve as a spiritual being having an experience in a human body. Okay? So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope that this helps you out. I hope this answers a few questions for you and just helps you understand me a little bit more and, you know, why I'm doing this and what my purpose is for being here and, you know, how I'm going to continue to evolve so that it serves those purposes in the highest interest of all concerned. And if you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.